this shit. It's incredible. And what I'm seeing now I'm almost done, is in the digital soldiers, and I interact with a lot of them. Some of them I have a weird half sort of friendship with, where we agree on a few things, but mostly they're not. And a lot of that whole group was like, yeah, I like Putin. Putin's awesome. He said America's too woke. I agree with that. What's wrong with that? He says it's good versus evil. He likes Jesus. Like, I mean,
whatever, and somebody said the authority said he can't get in. Is anybody having a hard time getting into the space?
Oh, hey, Lolo, do you have him blocked?
That's my fault.
Yeah. Sorry.
Lolo.
That's my fault.
Lolo.
That's
okay. That's okay. When
I recreated Hi-Fi's thread because Hi-Fi might be a different Hi-Fi, and then it won't be there.
I'm sure I'll be gone in the next 24 to 48 hours anyway. You'll be gone by the end of this space. I'm sure there's.
I mean, I've already reported you myself, Hi-Fi. So
everybody report Hi-Fi. What people don't know is that I have the secret of infinite Twitter accounts. So.
And my name is not Susan. Yeah, I unblocked the authority. Sorry, authority. I'm a little trigger happy these days.
sensations is what it is. So,
yeah. Is this like, do you know Rick Wiles?
It sounds
He does
yes.
True,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
does
yeah, yeah,
True
yes, yes.
News. He's
Yeah,
like
that's
full on Zionist, right?
yes, that's yeah.
And also like a QAnon guy and super anti-vax, but was very oddly, like, briefly my ally in the fight against Mike Flynn.
No way.
He did 2 entire shows about my video.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Rick
funny.
Wiles did.
Oh, is he friends with
Linwood?
Yes,
No.
Linwood.
No, he thinks all of them are fucking insane.
What about
He's like, Rick
Lance?
Wiles is I don't even know how to say this, a legitimate, like, one of those. Like, he really in my opinion, believes that shit. I don't think he's like an op. I think he's genuinely a fucking, basically, anti-Semitic, Jesus freak who literally thinks the end of the world is coming soon. But he hated what Mike Flynn did. He hated that fucking prayer so much. He called Mike Flynn a fucking devil worshiper and everything else. And you remember Satan Gate?
So,
that's where it came from. Was fucking that whole thing.
Okay, so okay, and I just have like a quick side note. It's probably going to mean nothing to most people, but this is for the authority. And it is, just write this down, Liquid Web LLC. Anyways, okay, carry on.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. Liquid Web LLC.
Well, you're talking about servers, so I'm just giving him a.
Oh, okay.
There's a,
by the way, since Authority is here, shout out to Authority for a good clip of Jack Singlob. Jack Singlob.
Anyone who's still believing these people who have been steering you wrong for a long time and who are now attacking people who were right, what fucking side are you on?
Yeah, it's come down to that. I mean, it's like, we keep talking about the Nazi playbook. We keep talking about the fascist playbook, and it's like we're living in the middle of it right now. All the things that we predicted that were going to happen, the erosion of these norms,
My goal is to reduce the amount of abuse in the world, reduce the amount of violence, reduce the amount of trauma and pain. And
Jim has vouched for these guys, and that's how I became friends with them. But I actually saw High Fidelity reading my Twitter feed, and even though he had a really creepy avatar, it was always really smart comments. So then once Jim sort of co-signed, I reached out to him and found a natural born news producer. And so that is why I'm thrilled that you're part of this, because it seems interesting that, you know, two of my guys are down. Yes, Hi-Fi is a, you know, notorious troll. We know that. But at this point in time, the work that needs to be done to beat back fascism is far more important than, you know, some sort of yo mama jokes or bag of dicks jokes. And
that's not a fun experience.
Because I've already lost my children because of the fucking haters online. So I don't even care anymore. I would rather my children be dead than grow up in what these motherfuckers want to turn the world into.
Yikes.
Sorry.
So I wanted to just talk a little bit about, like, you know, the funny thing is, I know you as like just one of the warmest, most generous people on earth, but people have managed to grow this sort of notorious reputation around you, which I think partly you enjoy, if you're going to be perfectly honest.
Oh, absolutely. Who doesn't like an anti-hero?
But at the same time is complete horseshit generated from, like, you know, a couple of things that you said that, you know, by contrast to the people who are trying to make a big deal about it, is just hilarious. So well, there seems to be a gene or something. I don't know what it is. There's a certain kind of person who thinks that hurting other people or fucking them over or trolling them or whatever is somehow in the rules. Somehow a thing that a normal human being is allowed to do. Well, no, motherfucker.
Fun stuff. Let's talk about our guest because he's coming up.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay, so so I'm going to do a little intro. Jim, you do an intro.
I need to do a little one too when you're done.
Okay, so I don't know. I just love Dr. Stephen Hassan. He's helped so many people through his personal experience and his incredible books that he has authored. You're looking at one of them, his incredible website, freedomofmind.com. The reason that we invited him to be on this show is, of course, he can come any week, but I did an interview with Adrian Goldberg of Byline Times Radio and Byline Times podcast, and he had never heard people talk about the cult of Trump, and he asked me why I use those words, and I got to recite my teachings from Dr. Stephen Hassan, and I thought, let's just have the man come and tell us about it himself. And Jim, why don't you talk about your history with Dr. Hassan?
So when I first got started looking at QAnon and all of the undue influence out there, before I even really understood what was going on, but I could tell that there was very, very substantial psychological control and harm being caused, I reached out to Dr. Hassan immediately within the first week, I think, or two, which is how I met Dave and a whole bunch of other people. Dr. Hassan, and I've said this before publicly, is the most important person in the world. He holds the key to helping save hundreds of millions of people, not just in America, but around the world, who are suffering from undue influence as a result of, psychological warfare operation.
Oh, Jackie, we are so happy that you are back with us. As everybody knows, Jackie's a cybersecurity expert, and she was a lead threat analyst on Joe Biden's campaign. Some of our viewers have met you before in episode 31, where you talked about the global scope of this cognitive warfare that we are in and some of the things that we can do to protect ourselves. As we are seeing it ramp up right now, we thought it was so important to bring you back, Jackie. And can you tell our viewers kind of a snapshot of some of your career highlights, and then we're going to jump right in.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you so much, Heidi. Jim, high five for having me back. I tend to say yes when friends invite me back to things. So thank you. Feels like a party.
So glad you're here.
Thank you.
We have talked a lot about the fact that we're in an undeclared war. It's an information war, a lot of active measures, chaos and destabilization events. And we've had no Western leaders standing up and saying, yes, the West is, being targeted by active measures, and we are in a cognitive warfare. And here's how we're going to fight back. We rely on people like you to tell us how to fight back. I personally rely on you to instruct me on how to fight back and how to respond. What